remember this. God is not remotely upset or concerned or threatened by counterfeits. God, if we can picture God, if I might say so reverently, the idea that God somehow is looking down and going, oh, I can't believe this is happening. Wow. No, from our perspective, from the perspective of first century Ephesus, Christianity was trembling on the brink of annihilation. Was it going to make it from the apostolic church to the post-apostolic church? Would Timothy hold the line? Would he entrust it to faithful men? Would the next generation grow up to love and follow God? That was the question. From a human perspective, you couldn't say. From God's perspective, it was never in doubt. The same is true of us today. That's why Paul is concerned that Timothy will just keep his head, that he will endure hardship, that he will do the work of an evangelist, that he will discharge all the duties of his ministry, because Jesus has said, I will build my church. I will build my church, says Jesus, and the gates of hell will not actually be able to prevail against it. And that, you see, helps us at the end of the day to say, how do we handle the strategy of these bad men? How do we care for these weak-willed women? And the answer is in the sovereign proviso of God himself. If we had time, I could take you to John 4, which I don't. You'll be relieved to know. And we could engage in the encounter between Jesus and a weak-willed woman who was apparently always learning and never able to come to a knowledge of the truth. She was swayed by all kinds of passions. She'd had 5 husbands and she had a live-in lover. If ever there was somebody in need of living water, it was the lady at the well. And what happened to her? She found it. Found it where? In a philosophy? No, in a person. Just in any person? No, in one person. The only one. The only one who can deal with our swayed hearts and with our burdened lives. So whether you are a silly man or a silly woman, I commend you to the wisdom that is found in Jesus. Father, thank you that when we bow beneath the authority of your word, things actually begin to make sense. Every day we're buffeted by all kinds of notions and ideas. And we're so thankful that your word shines like a light on our pathway. Come to us, Lord, I pray. Come to some of us who may be burdened by sins and led astray by passions. And we've been looking for all kinds of answers, but we somehow or another have never bowed our knee to Jesus. Grant that today we may do so. And remind those of us who are tempted to get completely discombobulated by all this stuff, that Jesus Christ is a sovereign and a reigning Lord and King, that nothing is actually out of control, nor will it get out of control. Hear our prayer for Jesus' sake. Amen.